Me and Maureen are here today, and we are going to discuss the um, five healthful, five healthy tips that we've set aside for the month of August. Now, the month of August, we're focusing on relaxation techniques or relax when we are um, overly stressed. We secrete this hormone called cortisol, and what cortisol does is it reduces the healthy actions that the body is supposed to be taking place. Where as humans, we're designed to be in a state of relaxation on a pretty regular basis. And when our stress hormones increase, that's a signal for the human body to remove themselves from that location. So if something's chasing us, we need to remove ourselves from it. If we are in a toxic environment, we are supposed to remove ourselves from it. Nowadays, our stress hormones are so high all the time that the majority of our environments are seen as toxic. So there are five healthy tips that we put together, and we're going to go over which ones are kind of easiest for us to hit, which ones we have the most difficulty with, and then with the kids too, little tips that we've noticed that they may struggle with that we can help with them, but just little ideas. So the first one is limiting screen time. Now you just read a book, Digital Minimalism, right?
I did.
Digital Minimalism was a super fascinating book. Maureen read that one and found a lot of great information and research inside this book. So tell us a little bit about why limiting screen time is so valuable.
Well, there's a lot of research, especially when we're talking about the kids. There's a lot of research out there that supports the idea that kids that are constantly connected to devices and looking at screens get into this state of hyper arousal so that they're constantly stimulated by everything around them and they have a really hard time settling down. And I think we've gone through periods where we notice that with the kids, just that
Yeah.
real everything is reactive, everything is, they can be really super sensitive. So because of that, we've tried to limit screen time pretty significantly.
Yeah, we really
in the last
significantly
year.
cut screen time, and it's been awesome.
It has.
At first, it's kind of like a band-aid. At first, they complain and they want to have screen time, and it does last longer than some other things that you may get rid of, right? So, like if a kid is into something and you say, no, you can't do that, or you probably shouldn't do that, and you remove it, it's usually like maybe you get a temper tantrum or a big outburst immediately. But certainly with screen time, it tends to be there for a few, I mean, what would you say, weeks or even months? Um,
Probably, well, I think it probably depends on how much they were using it
yeah,
prior to that, but we've gotten to a point now where they don't even really
yeah. So
ask.
they really don't ask now, and that's awesome. And I mean, we used to make a point to when we go out to dinner or when we go for a car ride, we'd bring the iPads with them and they would get to play. And we thought it was cool. They were playing within the Minecraft world and they were communicating in the world and it was fun. And Minecraft's a cool game. I like it. It is more of the, it is a more creative game out of all the other types of games, but they really don't miss it. I mean, they'll ask every once in a while, but it's very rare, and they don't even care if they don't get to play it.
And what's interesting too, just kind of going off of that, is if you can find something that's like a similar replacement. Like this weekend, you bought Catan Junior.
Yeah, we got Catan Junior,
which is an actual real board game, but very Minecraft-like.
Yeah.
In terms of the building and collecting, materials that you might need.
Yep, and Catan Junior is a game that the kids roll a dice, and depending on where their castles are on the board, they end up getting materials based off of what the dice was rolled. So it rolls a 1. If I get a castle on the little area that has a 1 on it, then I get a bunch of goats, or I get a bunch of swords, and you can combine those and use those to buy more boats or castles, which then makes you able to get more tools, which is very Minecraft-esque, but it's very physical world as opposed to that digital world.
And I think, from a teacher standpoint, I think there's certainly a lot of benefit to a game like Minecraft.
Yeah.
In terms of that critical thinking and higher level thinking, complex problem solving. But I think what tends to happen with a game like Minecraft, because it's on a device, they get so hyper focused on everything else that's going on in that game, sort of the entertainment of, well, here comes a villager and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
kill this guy or whatever it is, that those real benefits of the game get lost in the entertainment aspect. But
Yes.
I think when it's very tangible to them
Mm-hmm.
in terms of Catan, then you're really getting kind of the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, and you just talking there, something that I notice is that when the kids are playing Catan and they are going through those problem-solving skills, they then use those skills in this real world because
Yes.
they are physically playing in the real world with
Yep.
physical people and they're able to see them. But with our boys, if they're playing Minecraft and they are building in Minecraft, then they will actually be talking about going back into this digital world, wanting to play in this digital
Yeah.
world, and that they can't do what they want to until they get into this digital world. And that is something that we really want to make sure that they have a firm separation between physical world and digital world, because
Yeah.
we both agree that they're going to have a very um, high influence from a digital world, digital realms, right? So they're going to have to live in these digital realms. But I think it's valuable at their age to make sure that they are more in this physical realm at the moment and dipping their toes into the digital rather than spending. I mean, one of the most crazy statistics I've seen is that the average American, the motorcycle going by, you can hear it,
So loud.
but the average American sits in front of the screen for 11 hours a day. So 24 hours a day, right? You say 11 hours a day, oh, that's not bad, that's less than half. But all of these hours a day type of data that I find, I always, instead of looking at 24 hours, I look at it as 16, because in all of our sleep research, humans are designed to sleep 8 hours a night, right? So that only leaves us 16, I did my math right?
You did.
16 hours for functioning throughout the normal everyday awakefulness, right? So 11 hours a day means that you only have 5 hours of actually good process that's being done. That means that we are outside of that digital world for only 5 hours a day. So limiting screen time is big.
It's huge.
Other things that we have gotten into too is and that's why this is number one, is because it's a biggie, is the lack of stopping cues in a lot of these programs and apps on the phones. So what a stopping cue is a stopping cue is the um, ability for you to scroll endlessly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like a bottomless bucket of chips, right? Like
Yep.
if I was eating chips here, I would continue eating, and if you could take that bowl away and fill it up, that taking that bowl away, or first off, me eating them all is a stopping cue, and then if I eat all the chips, then you take the bowl away and fill it up, that actually in itself is a stopping cue.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine a situation where the bowl was actually truly endless. Like you found a way to like fill it up from the bottom, and I'm just eating it. I would never stop. Like I'm here on my iPad right now, and I am on Reddit, and I'm scrolling, and I just hit. I'm on weak Wi-Fi, and I just hit a stopping cue now, and all of a sudden it's back up, and these companies make a point to eliminate all stopping cues from their programs because nowadays your attention is revenue for them.
Mm-hmm. And that was a big point you brought up, the book Digital Minimalism in the beginning. That was a big aspect of it, was that we're just kind of, we have no philosophy or no idea of how to use devices like this. We've just sort of, oh, this is great, and keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, but we've never really taken the time to stop and think about the actual value that you could get from a device like this. And I think kind of, scrolling aimlessly through Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, you so easily get sucked down into that hole, and you don't realize how much of your real life you've just wasted for something that gives you very little value. So taking the time, I think, to develop a philosophy together as a family or individually,
time limits,
how you're going to use that screen time. I think is important because it's, in that book that we read, Irresistible, abstinence is not an option.
Yep.
Right? You can't escape.
No way.
The use of technology, but you've got to be able to put some limits on it and really focus on the value of it.
I mean, it really is that they are addictive technologies, and they really tap into that addictive aspect of our brain. And there is a lot of research being done now about how they have tried to hack us in order to maximize eyeballs onto them. I mean, right now we're really hitting the first time ever where Facebook developers, Twitter developers have been kind of booted out of the company because the money mind has taken over, right? So these people got into it for the right reasons. Now people are looking to make money off of it. Their ideal values are no longer valuable there, and they've been booted out, and now they are starting to spread the word. So there's a lot of, I mean, this year alone, we've seen a lot of great books about this and bringing up that knowledge about how they have really tapped into this addictive aspect. I mean, just the fact that just the fact that people that are called users, right? People that's clients are called users, or the people that use their product are called users, are drug dealers and social media users, right? Or social media companies. Tells you everything you need to know.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on screen time?
No, I could go on that one for a long time.
Yeah, we'll do a separate one about that. But it really is. I mean, it might be hard with your kids the first time, but they don't need it. And I mean, our kids are 8 and 6, right? We've got 2 8-year-olds, 2 6-year-olds. So I understand we haven't hit the age where everyone else is on these devices. I know that's going to be a challenge for us, and I'm being honest with that. That I if you have older kids, I hear you that I don't get it yet, but I really am. I'm really excited to try to tackle that aspect because I can imagine it's a very hard one to tackle. And if you've got any concerns or anything you want to bring up, make sure you leave it in the comments below because we're always looking to talk about this and figure it out. It'll help us with them growing up too.
And we can link some of those books.
Yeah, the books will link in the section below. Okay. Number 2, 2 minutes of belly breathing daily. All right. So
that's all you.
This is all me. So are you a belly breather?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. So I have practiced belly breathing, and I try to get in the habit of belly breathing. Breathing is a subconscious activity, right? We need to breathe to live. So we've got 2 ways to breathe. We either breathe with our accessory muscles, which live up here, and as we breathe in, our rib cage and shoulders come up, right? And the rib cage expands. Or we can breathe with our diaphragm, which is right here. And the diaphragm lowers down, increasing that same lung volume and helping us breathe. So the accessory musculature is designed to help us in times of stress. So when something's chasing us or when we're running, when our heart rate has increased a ton, our ribs start being lifted up by accessory muscles. When it is a calming, normal, everyday activity state, diaphragm is the thing that is breathing in a healthy individual. And someone that has developed bad habits, like most of us, we have gotten rid of diaphragmatic breathing and we breathe with our accessory muscles. Now, diaphragmatic breathing alone turns on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a huge stress reducer, and it actually helps secrete hormones that are relaxing to our body. So those stressful hormones like cortisol, those things are knocked down and we aren't noticing them as much, and our happy, relaxed stress hormones are increased. So just by doing 2 minutes of belly breathing a day, right, my last video from last month for movement and my last featured article were on belly breathing, right? If you can do 2 minutes a day, that is a great start to reestablishing this nice, healthy, subconscious way of breathing. I find myself in the office, if I'm in a stressful environment, if there's a lot of stress going on outside of the office, I come in there and I'll be treating someone that'll be face down, and I'll catch myself like breathing through my mouth. And all of a sudden I'll take my tongue, put it on the roof of my mouth, breathe through the nose only, and all of a sudden that diaphragm starts moving again. So I catch myself, and we challenge you to start catching yourself. You breathe through your mouth, then you're an accessory muscle breather. If you can breathe through your nose comfortably, then you breathe with your diaphragm. So challenge yourself, 2 minutes a day. If you can do that, awesome, and try to maximize that time, okay? Number 3, read your content this month. We challenge you to read your content this month instead of video watching it or social media type of stuff. Like, we want you to read books, physical content. All right. Teacher, tell us the value of physical books. When the kids were starting to read, I mean, these iPads, they're cool. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna get these electronic books. We're gonna swipe through them. We're gonna read them together, and that was cool because this technology is cool and new. Maureen comes in, and she comes in with, you moved in with like a whole house full of books. Like, teachers love their books. Maureen
I do love my books.
walks around. We go to the book rack in Newburyport, and I see her walking around the corner, and she's got a book hugging it right into her chest. And like, these physical books mean so much to you, and why are they so valuable from like an elementary education perspective?
Well, for the earliest readers, having an actual physical book is huge because it gives them that tactile experience of how do you turn a page, how do you really take the time to look at the pictures rather than, most of our kids at these point are what we call digital natives. They've grown up on an iPad. They know how to use it incredibly well. So they're more apt to just swipe, and not really take the time to experience the book. And I think that's the value of an actual physical book, is that it becomes more of an experience rather than an activity.
Yep.
So we've really, I think, tried to encourage our guys as much as possible, because they're still young, early readers.
Yep.
Even, our two older ones, to really find the value in finding a comfortable spot, kind of snuggle up with your book, and just experience that page turning,
Mm-hmm.
the print on the page. It is completely different than reading on a screen.
Yeah, and I notice we each have Kindles, right? We'll read on a Kindle digitally, but I also like physical books. If you've been in the office, I got a bunch of books, and one of the things I like about the physical books, and I've actually seen the kids do it, is that they will be, especially our older ones, they'll be reading the story, and then they'll actually go back.
Yeah,
and
that's huge.
It makes a big point for their mind to be able to remember that, just like, and I do it too, like, oh, like 10 pages ago or like 5 minutes ago, I just read that. So then I'm able to flip it back, as opposed to, like, I, as an adult, have a hard time scrolling back through trying to find where I was. Like, there are aspects to you see the page number, or you see the texture of the page, or maybe that page had a crease in it or something like that, and you remember those tactile aspects of the book.
And I think in a physical book too, it helps, especially early readers, understand that there's an order. Whereas when you can't as easily sort of flip back and forward, or if you're like James and he likes to skip ahead to the end of the book to check out what's going to happen, it helps them to establish that idea of, okay, there's a start and there's a finish, and there's all these things that happen in between.
Yeah.
Where when you're sort of locked into that screen, that understanding is more challenging.
They get excited too when they can see the end of the book.
Yeah.
They really get excited, and they notice, like, oh, this is the climax of the book. Like, this is where it's getting interesting. They get into it more, and they're so accomplished when they finish it. They're so proud of themselves, which is really, really cool to see. One last thing about the reading aspect of it is the notifications, right? You remove the notifications from your reading. So if you're an adult and you have trouble managing your notifications on your own, I mean, ideally we'd love to see you eliminate all notifications, right? Because there's really no need for them. You can go into the apps if you want to. I know it's a big shift for some, but if you get rid of those, what tends to happen when you're reading is, if you get a notification, you can hop in your email while you're reading.
Right.
Or what I tend to do when I'm reading digitally is, I'll be reading something, and I'll be like, oh, that's interesting, I want to learn more about it, and I'll all of a sudden hop onto Wikipedia or Google searches about this particular thing, rather than staying in the book itself. And a lot of times when you're reading, like, it's the actual experience, like you said, of reading the actual book.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
We have lots of good book recommendations.
All right, cool. I noticed I've got a spelling mistake in the image that I made for this video, so I'm going to have to go in and fix that.
I
John.
didn't catch that when you sent that to me.
Oh, man, what a bummer. All right, number 4. Download a mindfulness app. Do you use a mindfulness app?
I don't.
This is one of Maureen's difficulties. Do I use a mindfulness app?
Occasionally, yes.
At the moment, no. But I've got to become better. I went through a good phase of trying to do the mindfulness thing. The Daily Calm, or the Calm app, has a great daily calm, and it's a 10-minute. You just lay there. You can do your belly breathing, your 2 minutes of belly breathing during that phase, during that time, and it's great for you. And that the mindfulness apps really help you become better at flexing your brain muscle, right? Allowing yourself to take a step away, learning a little more about how you are supposed to, as a human, take some time to just relax. And the mindfulness apps are great. One of the best things about the mindfulness apps, and we'll link two of them below that I really like, but one is called Calm, and the other one is called Headspace. They're on the Apple App Store. I think they're on the Google Play Store. They've got to be, but they offer a free subscription for a period of time. It may be 7 days, and I'm hoping it may be 30. But this is the perfect time for this month to start your 30-day free trial. Right? So hop on that. We like the Calm app too because it's got an Apple TV app. So in our Apple TV, we'll have the boys wake up in the morning. And for school, we'll actually eat breakfast, and then we'll all lay down and do the 10-minute daily calm. All right, and the kids like it. At first, they thought I was nuts, but they kind of they'll some days they'll really do it. Other days they'll kind of squirm a little bit through it. But we're teaching them to flex that mind, right?
Yeah.
Think of it like a muscle. We're exercising it a little bit. We're actually physically trying to get us into that relaxed state. And the better we are equipped at that, and the more tools we have, the better. So
I got something for that.
Calm and Headspace are great. So one of the great things about the Calm app is they have this section called the Masterclass section. The Masterclass section has these professionals, these just top tier professionals that have valuable information in a particular field, and it's really like a long form podcast that is exclusive to the Calm app. So we actually found some of my favorite people to follow. I found through that app, and I listen to their own podcast now. I've read their books, and they're great. What you got from?
From a parent or teacher perspective, Go Noodle.
Okay.
I know a lot of schools are using Go Noodle. You can get the app. We use it on the Apple TV, but you can get it on any device. They have a whole section. It's called Flow. And what I like about it is that it really explicitly teaches them how to use some of those mindfulness exercises.
Oh, cool.
So this summer we've done a few of them. It'll teach them how to turn their body on and off so that they can feel that sensation of what does it feel like to be really tense, and how does breathing help calm your body. There's tons of different ones. But what we've done this summer too is sort of taken those, and I don't want to say we're big into timeout, but we're big into
we do time frames, like timeout time frames.
Yeah, if your body or your mind or your voice or whatever are showing us that you can't be part of this situation right now, we ask the kids to go take a timeout. And what I've tried to start doing this summer is there's a little basket now on the stairs, and it's got
books and stuff.
It's got
Oh no, you put tools in there. What are the tools you put in there?
I should have brought it out.
You should have put me in there.
You as a tool?
Me as a timeout. I would have gotten used to the tools.
Oh, I know. Sorry.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sorry. There's like jars, and when they shake up, they can kind of watch the glitter fall, and that's supposed to be calming and help them settle their minds. And then there's little small little chalkboard things, and they have different strategies on them. So turn your body on, turn your body off, or release your balloon. And if they've done enough of these Go Noodles, they should know what it means so that they can be using that sort of timeout time productively, rather than just sitting there and waiting for the 6-minute timer to go off.
Yeah. So removing them from the environment is big, because we know, at least when I grew up, with this hyper-stressed environment, people are more apt to hyper-focus on a particular thing that's going on, and if it's an unhappy thing for them and they're acting out, they're going to hyper-focus on how they were treated poorly and how they are actually in the right and everyone else is in the wrong, and they ramp up. And you just need to remove yourself from that experience first, and then you can kind of think clearly about it and not focus on it as much. And as you'll notice, what a lot of these things are is it is kind of practicing these healthy mind habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like I was telling a patient today about, physically, if I climbed a tree and I fell off the tree and broke my arm, I have two options. Maureen's looking at me like, where am I going with this? Right? I have two options. After the after my break heals, I can either A, never choose to climb the tree again, or I
Right.
can B,
Right.
choose to climb it again and learn how to climb it better because I had that experience.
Right.
Right? A lot of people these days are actually choosing never to climb the tree again. All right? But what if you needed to climb that tree again? You have to overcome that, and you have to be able to handle that experience in a better scenario, in a better way next time. So, same thing happens with these mindfulness tools, right?
Mhm.
You handle a situation. It is an If you are feeling angry, or if you feel like you are the victim, that is an unhealthy experience going on in your brain, and you've got to find a better way of handling that experience
Yep.
in the future, so that you either aren't in that environment again, or you handle yourself appropriately, maybe differently in that experience,
Right.
so that you don't have those same responses. Um, that's
Yeah, that's huge.
really it. That's huge. I'm reading a good book right now, of like talking about the brain and how the brain is really just hormonal responses that we truly can't really control. Our body just kind of responds to them in different ways, and it is our job to kind of understand how our body and mind responds to these stimuli. And if we can, I mean, keep ourselves in these healthier hormonal responses.
It's feeling
Right?
brain and thinking brain.
Feeling brain and thinking brain.
Yeah.
We could do a whole pod on that too.
We
Feeling
could.
brain and thinking brain.
We
Right?
could.
All right. So number 5, because Maureen's getting eaten alive, and I can tell she's getting anxious. All right, 15 minutes
I need to do belly breathing.
15 minutes of single tasking a day.
Ooh.
15 minutes of single tasking a day. Okay, so my very first Relax article from last year was called Multitasking in the Modern World. And it was a bunch of points and research about how multitaskers are, no matter what, bar none, way less effective than single taskers. So that means that if I were to do a job, and Maureen were to do a job, and Maureen were doing other things, or actually, think of it this way. So if I had 3 jobs to do, Maureen had 3 jobs to do. If she tried to do those three jobs at one time, and I banged out 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 100% of the time I'm going to finish those jobs faster than Maureen finishes them. No matter what. And that even happens with people that have been trained in the projects and all that. But if you can single task, it is much better to handle one job first, then the next, and then the next. So,
This is a big downfall for me.
Yeah, that's a big year. I have been better because practice in the office, chiropractic, has really forced me to be a single tasker, because I have spent a long time really, really working on my ability to focus on each and every one of my patients when they come in, right? So I have to be able to shut off and focus on each and every one of them when they come in order for them to get adequate care when they're in there. So I have a better job. I have a better handle at that. Some little tips I use is I've shut off my notifications. I've really delegated. I have 2 different email apps. One of them is a work one. The other one is a personal one. And not just accounts, but apps. Because a lot of, like in Gmail, you can link all of these email accounts together. I've separated them because I have to go into an app in order to get to work. I have to go into an app in order to look at personal. So I very rarely check my work one. And I know I'm fortunate that I own my own business and stuff, and that people aren't asking me questions all the time. But really delegating different apps, different tools, different computers, different devices, different locations will really help you single task. Okay, and single tasking is huge. So 15 minutes of single tasking, an example of that, listening to music without doing anything else for 15 minutes, reading a book for 15 minutes, all one action for just 15 minutes.
I think some of that too is just awareness, though, that you recognize that you're not as effective. At least that's where I'm at in the process.
Yeah, where are you? Tell us more about you.
Mastered it yet, but I think I'm aware of the pitfalls of trying to multitask. So, like, I catch myself even today. I was trying to do 5 different things, and I stopped myself. I said, no, before I do anything else, I need to go fold the laundry that's upstairs, and then I can move on to the next project. So it's just about awareness and sort of stopping and reflecting, or not reflecting, but kind of like self-checking, like, where are you?
That's huge.
In what you're trying to do.
Noticing it is huge,
Yeah.
and that's where we challenge.
I've been much better.
Yeah, you're doing
I'm
awesome.
trying.
We really that's the thing, is challenging each other, right? We challenge each other and challenging our patients to do this. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I'm still working on, let's see, so let's go over these 5 here. We've got limit screen time. I got to work on that. 2 minutes of belly breathing. I'm doing pretty good. Read your content. Yep. Download a mindfulness app. I got to work on that one. And then 15 minutes of single tasking a day. I think I do that. What about you? Out of those 5, limit screen time. How you doing? A thumbs up or thumbs down?
Me personally?
Yep.
I think pretty good.
So is it thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
Okay. All right. 2 minutes of belly breathing daily.
No, that's a
Thumbs down. You got to physically show a thumbs down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thumbs down. Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. So let's start over. Limit screen time is a thumbs up by me.
Thumbs up.
All right. 2 minutes of belly breathing daily is a thumbs up by me. Thumbs down by Momo. All right. Read your content. Oh, that's a thumbs up by me. I love reading.
That's double.
All right. Download a mindfulness app. I've got one. I actually pay for the premium subscription, but I don't use it at the moment. So that's going to be a big one for me.
Neither one of us do.
All right. So 15 minutes of single tasking daily. That's one me. I just went to the comic book store today.
I'm right here.
You're here?
I'm in
You're
the middle.
You're like
You're
the kids.
allowed to do that.
No, you're like the kids. Up or down?
Down. I'll go down.
Okay, you'll work on that. All right, so I went to the comic book shop today. On Wednesdays, new comics. I get my comic book, and I sit down for, I probably sit down for 30 minutes, and I read my comics.
See, I can do that. It's like the day-to-day. Like, I can sit down and read for 15 minutes, no problem.
That's good.
But it's when...
But you know what you want to work on, and you're trying to work on it.
Okay.
All right, cool. So, check out you at the beginning of the month, all right? See how many thumbs up, thumbs down you get. Work on the thumbs downs. And if you guys like this, maybe at the end of the month, we'll check back in and see how everyone's doing. If you want to leave comments below, we can, if you like some of these helpful hints or tools that we use to do these challenges, we'll attach links or send stuff out. We got a lot of stuff on our Newman Experience page at drjeffnewman.com/experience. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll get more of these. I'm starting to do more video. We try to put out 3 a week, but each month, if you've noticed, I send out the newsletter for the Becoming Human Challenge. And I really want to start getting you guys more involved in challenging yourselves to improve your health. So we're going to put a video together like this, hopefully every month, with these helpful tips and these challenges for you guys and where we're really at, because it holds us accountable, because we're not perfect.
Definitely.
And really doing this makes me more accountable. Like, I'm actually going to have to use the Calm app. Probably not tonight. Maybe tomorrow.
All those comics.
I gotta start using that app. All right. Till next time.